credit.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers will not have LeBron James tonight for their LA showdown against the Clippers. LeBron has a sore right ankle. This will be the fifth game this season LeBron has missed because of an injury. The Lakers are 2-2 in LeBron's absence. 7 p.m. tip-off tonight at Crypto.com on TNT. Coco Gauff advanced to the Australian Open semifinals for the first time in her career. The 19-year-old sister defeated Marta Kostyuk of Ukraine in 3 sets. Gauff is ranked 4th in the world. Remember Hugh Jackson? He was head coach of the Cleveland Browns from 2016 to 2018 and the Oakland Raiders for 1 year in 2011. Jackson is in final talks with Morehouse College in Atlanta to become their next head football coach. The famous HBCU hasn't had a winning season in 6 years. Jackson is available. He was fired at Grambling after going 8-14 in 2 seasons. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough.
I'm Tavis Smiley, and we've made it to hour 3, and I've been looking forward to this conversation with our friend and brother, Dr. George Fraser, as he makes his annual January visit to help us maximize the moment that is this new year. We'll get to George Fraser in just a second here. In case you have not heard, one more again, the Oscar nominations were announced earlier today, and it's a pretty good day for black people. Ain't no stopping us now. McFadden and Whitehead. All right, here we go. For Best Picture, Cord Jefferson, the black director, is nominated for American Fiction. So his film, American Fiction, is nominated in the Best Picture category. If you've not seen American Fiction, you'll want to see it. I've said it all day today. It's an amazing film. So Cord Jefferson, black director, has his film, American Fiction, nominated in the Best Picture category. For Best Actor, Coben Domingo, who played Bayard Rustin in Rustin, is nominated. So is our friend and brother Jeffrey Wright for the aforementioned American Fiction. So 2 brothers going against each other in the Best Actor category. Coben Domingo for Rustin, Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. Supporting Actor, Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction. So you got the lead actor and the supporting actor for American Fiction both nominated for awards. That's a big deal. Congratulations to Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction. In the Best Actress category, the first Native American woman ever to be nominated for Best Actress in Oscar history, Lily Gladstone, nominated for Killers of the Flower Moon. So there's color in that category. By the way, I'm not done with the list yet, but there's color in every single major category this year. there's color, and that's a big deal. So no Oscars So White this year. Best Supporting Actress, Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple, and Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers. So you got two brothers going against each other in the Best Actor category, and two sisters going against each other in the Best Supporting Actress category. And then you got some black folk nominated for Best Animated, if I can say it, Best Animated Feature Film of the Year. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Kent Powers is on that team, brother. In the Best Documentary Feature Film category, you got some black folk nominated there. In the Best Documentary Short Film, some black people nominated there. And Original Song, John Baptiste is nominated for his song It Never Went Away from American Symphony. So in every major category, there is color, there's diversity this time around, and there's more diversity in categories like Animated Feature, Best Documentary Feature, Best Documentary Short Film, Original Song. So again, we will not have a lot of commentary this year, at least, about Oscars So White, and that is a good thing. These are some really good films and some great actors, and congratulations to all the persons I've had time to mention who were nominated officially today, earlier this morning, when the nominations were first announced. So there's that, in case you hadn't heard it. Now, to this conversation that I'm looking forward to with entrepreneur, author, and motivational speaker, Dr. George Fraser, who will help us once again, as he does every year, unpack and unlock the secrets of wealth, inclusion, and success for us this year. And we'll talk about how to empower ourselves, our community, and how to build a legacy as we continue to dominate the 21st century. Dr. George Fraser, Happy New Year, my friend. How are you?
Happy New Year, Tavis. So good to hear your voice. Looking forward to this conversation as usual. Thank you for the Oscar review. Yeah, there ain't no stopping us now. I mean, that is awesome.
No, it's quite a list.
And I'm an OG, so that's one of my favorite all-time songs. And they don't make them like that anymore. They don't write them like that anymore. But I love that song.
No,
Thank you for
I love it too. McFadden Whitehead, you can't fade the Philly sound. Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff. We are heard, of course, in Philly right about now. And so shout out to all of our friends in Philadelphia and to Gamble and Huff and that Philadelphia sound. It's a beautiful thing. Let me just start. I'm watching my clock here. I took a few extra minutes to go through the Oscar rundown. And so let me tell you what I want to do when we come forward. And I want to put you on the spot here. I know a little something about a major project that you are working on. And the word is starting to seep out about this major project, this legacy project that you are behind. And I want this audience to hear directly from you about this major undertaking that is coming to life literally every single day. So when we come forward, I want to start with that because it seems to me, and I'm learning this more and more, Dr. Fraser, as I get older, that with all that I've been blessed to do as an individual, and there are many of us who've been blessed to accomplish a lot as individuals, but it ultimately is about the institution building that we do that matters most. It's nice when you get this award and this recognition and that acknowledgement, but ultimately, we have to be about the business of institution building. And I want you to hear about this major project that I'm pleased to support, that Dr. George Fraser is at the epicenter of. It's his vision, it's his goal, it's his dream. He's had it for a couple of decades now, but it is finally coming to pass. I want you to hear about it from him, and then we're going to talk about how to help you make the most of this year. Our guest is Dr. George Fraser on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton. And I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
COVID-19 renter protections are ending for City of Los Angeles tenants. Know your rights and these 3 facts. February 1st is the deadline to pay rental arrears for rent owed from October 1st, 2021 to January 31st, 2023. Residential tenants cannot be evicted without a reason or just cause. You have 5 days to respond to an eviction notice from the court. Learn more at housing.lacity.org. That's housing.lacity.org. Be informed. Be protected, be at home.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Before I yield to the gentleman from Cleveland, Ohio, to share with you these fascinating details about this major undertaking that I want you to hear about, I should mention, in addition to the list of Academy Award nominees that I referenced earlier, just a few days ago on January the 9th, as I recall, our friend and sister Angela Bassett received an honorary Oscar this year at the Governor's Awards, and that's a big deal. Angela has not yet received an earned Oscar. She's been robbed, I think, a couple of times, but that's just me. She's such an amazing thespian. But this year, the Academy saw fit to give our friend and sister Angela Bassett an honorary Oscar at the Governor's Awards. That was earlier this month, so I should mention that as well. Congratulations to Angela Bassett for that honorary Oscar earlier this year, and we will see in the coming weeks what these other brothers and sisters can pull off in these various categories. We celebrate all these Black and brown people today who were nominated for Academy Awards. Once again, diversity in every single major category. That hadn't happened ever, and if ever, it's been a long time. So we celebrate all of them and congratulate all of them. All right, Dr. Fraser, now I want to pass the mic to you because I want to, again, do what you do every year in terms of getting us ready mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, professionally to make the most of this year. But I want to just take a few minutes. So take your time here and tell the audience what I already know about regarding this major project that's coming online in Atlanta. Take it away.
Thank you, Tavis. There are 110 Black History museums in America. I've visited 80 of them. And it occurred to me 20 years ago after visiting my 80th Black History Museum that there was really no celebration, no recognition of the enormous contributions that Black people have made to business and capitalism in this great country. Now, you might see something about Madam C.J. Walker, Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver, but that is just a scintilla of the kind of excellence, in spite of racism, that we have contributed to economic development and building wealth in our community and building businesses in our community in spite of a racist environment in which we had to grow up in, certainly in the last 350 years. So it occurred to me that something had to be done about that. And the idea was to build a Black Business Legacy Hall of Fame Museum and Metaverse to recognize these contributions for all time. But you know, there are a couple of core reasons, not only to recognize and celebrate 400 years of historical models of Black business excellence and contribution to global capitalism despite racism, but to recognize the struggle that it took and the tremendous odds that were against us. Why? Because it's not currently part of our historical record anywhere in the world, as it should be. Every place I've traveled throughout the diaspora, there is no recognition of that contribution. The Legacy Project also will provide motivation and inspiration and become an aspirational goal. This is key, an aspirational goal for more current and future generations of our children to choose Black business development and excellence as a primary path forward. Now, we say in 100 Black Men, what they see is what they'll be. And we know that aspirationally, I speak in about 40 HBCUs a year, and I stop in the middle of my talk, and I ask by a show of hands, how many of you want to be in entertainment or business or entertainment or sports when you graduate from this esteemed college? 80% of our kids raise their hand. Why? There is an aspirational goal. There is the Football, Baseball, Basketball Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. There's the Academy Awards, the Emmy Awards, the Grammy Awards. This is what is merchandised. This is what is marketed. This is what we see. This is what is celebrated, and therefore, and we're big television watchers, and now we are staring at our smaller screen, social media. So this is the thing that is emphasized. So I think that the third important reason for this is to help our people to significantly increase the desire to start and to build and to scale new businesses with the intention over the next 2 generations to 5x and 10x the number of businesses that we have started, which is currently about 3.1 million businesses in Black America. But we have the lowest number of businesses per capita of any culture group in this country, and we came over here on the Mayflower. Of the 3.1 million businesses, Tavis, only 141,000 of those businesses employ anybody, but the average annual revenue of those 141,000 Black-owned businesses is about $1.2 million a year. And that increase has had about a 40% increase over the last 5-year reporting period. These numbers are reported every 5 years by the Census Bureau. But that means that about 2.9 million of our businesses are sole proprietorships. Sole proprietorships, the average revenue of a sole proprietorship is about $18,700 a year. So that's below the poverty line. So we need to build and scale. We need aspirational goals. We need something in our culture, something in our community that waves the flag, start and build businesses so that we can employ our own people. I'm praying that by the end of the 21st century that we will become the number one employer of our own people by starting and building more businesses. As Jews are the number one employer of Jews, Asians are the number one employer of Asians, East Indians are the number one employer of East Indians, Arabs are the number one employer of Arabs. We, too, have to be the number one employer of our own people. In fact, Asians have solved their own unemployment problem just opening small Asian restaurants in the hood. In fact, I tell brothers and sisters all the time, if you go into an Asian restaurant and there are 4 brothers working in there, leave. That's not a real Asian restaurant because Asians do not employ Black people. They employ Asian people, right? And you can't hate on them for that. And the other question I ask, have you ever seen a line of Asians waiting to get into a soul food restaurant? I've never seen it, right? But there's a line of Black folks in the hood waiting to get into these Chinese restaurants, and they don't even like you. So we have work to do. Yes. And I think that the Black Business Legacy Hall of Fame, we're hoping to build it in Atlanta on the AU Center where Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, Atlanta, Morris Brown, and the Interdenominational Theological Seminary is. So that is our goal. That is one of my New Year resolutions, and that is to take the next step towards building out this important institution. Remember, brothers and sisters, the Black Business Legacy Hall of Fame Museum, Metaverse, and and metaverse, right? So it's a 4-phase project. The first phase will be to build out the metaverse. That's about $2 to $3 million. So you'll be able to experience globally with a tiny admission fee to experience what you're going to experience in the 4th phase, which is the brick and mortar, hopefully to be in Atlanta. But the first is the metaverse. The second is to do a global tour, talking about it and then giving people examples of what it's going to look like the live experience will be. And then we'll, and so that's the kind of thing that we're working on. And then the final phase, which is about 5 to 7 years away, and that is to build the brick and mortar, to have an iconic building. The two things that I have always loved as a child: museums and architecture. I don't know why. I just loved museums. Maybe because when I was a foster kid, my foster parents lived in Manhattan on 98th Street between Central Park West and Columbus Avenue, and down the, we used to play in the Museum of Natural History. Like they play in malls now, we used to play in the museums, which were not far from where I live. So maybe that's why I love museums. But anyway, that is the big vision. That is the 20,000-foot view of that vision. That is what we are aggressively working on. We've got 140 people on our Leadership Advisory Council, and thank God you are a part of that Leadership Advisory Council. Thank you for celebrating this. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on it. It is not really a well-known piece of information yet. We're working out all the details. We're now, again, in the fundraising phase of the project, which will start in 2024. The earlier phases, of course, was developing it all out, doing all the groundwork, doing all the research, and doing what we have to do to make this thing real. So that's what it is.
Well, I cheated because I have a unique connection to you in this project. So I cheated a little bit, and I don't apologize for that. I wanted this national audience, I want this audience to hear about what you are working on. And there are a number of ways I want to connect that as we move through the rest of this hour. But I celebrate you. Let me just pause for a second. I celebrate you for this vision. I celebrate you for the work that you are doing. You're not 20 years old anymore, and you're still putting in work every single day. But I celebrate what you are doing to bring this vision to life. The Bible says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And I love the vision that you have. I love the work and witness that you're putting in. And I'm confident that down the road we will see the final phase of this in brick and mortar. But what you're doing right now, just to bring it online, is pretty amazing. And I want to I'm watching my time, but I want to just ask a couple of questions here right quick. Number one, quickly, why is it? I'm not naive in asking this, but you laid it out so brilliantly, and it wasn't lost on me or the audience, that we honor everybody in Black America for pretty much everything. We do sports, we do music, we do fashion. Right. You ran the list, and I'm not hating on anybody, not casting aspersion or demonizing anybody. Right. We have talent, and we're pretty amazing in all of these fields of human endeavor, and we ought to be celebrated in music and beyond. But why is it? Just tell me why you think it is that the one thing we don't do is honor our entrepreneurial genius.
That is a $64,000 question, Tavis. I agree with you, and it occurred to me, like being hit in the head with a brick. Why don't we do that? And now I had to spend several years visiting our museums because I love museums. And again, after 80 visits, this was back in the 90s, right up to the beginning of the 2000s. Why don't we celebrate that? Why don't we recognize that? What is that about us? And maybe it's part of our, or certainly part of my generation's orientation. I'm a baby boomer. I'm closer to 80 than I am to 70. Okay, and our generation's orientation was get a good education and get a good job. Nobody was talking about getting a damn business, building a business, get a good job, and preferably get a good government job.
Oh yeah,
that was our entire orientation.
There's always work at the post office. Always work at the post office.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. I lived in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, right on Putnam Avenue between between Reed and Stuyvesant. Reed is now Malcolm X Boulevard, and there was a whole plethora of businesses right around the corner from my brownstone, and the only thing black-owned was the barber shop and the beauty salon. Everything else was Jewish, supermarkets, small businesses. So we were not even oriented, talked into. My father, in a sense, I call him a self-employed professional. That's just modern-day language. But he was a cab driver. But he owned his own medallion, okay? Now, back in the day, owning a medallion in New York City
That's a big deal.
was a big deal. Now, that's right. Uber has killed all that. So my father didn't really work for anybody. He worked for himself. He invested, he was from the Caribbean. He invested in his own medallion. So he reported to Walter Frederick Fraser, right? That's the closest I saw to anything entrepreneurial. But it still did not resonate with me. And I'm from a family of 11, 8 boys and 3 girls, and all of us got good educations and got good jobs.
Yeah. Let me come in on that. I got 2 minutes. Let me do this right quick and you get your take on this, and then we'll move forward. We hear so many horrible stories all the time about kids in foster care. And I'm not demonizing that system. I'm just saying we hear these stories all the time about what happens to kids in foster care, especially when they term out. But you are always very, very transparent about saying you were a foster kid. In 2 minutes, give me the top line version of how a kid in foster care turns out to be like George Fraser.
Boy, you asked the best damn question. No one's ever asked me that question. I think part of it is DNA. Part of it is, in a sense, the punishment of foster care, because I was in toxic foster homes. And my foster parents, and again, I'm not hating on the foster care system. I'm a huge supporter of the foster care system. But my foster parents were old school Southerners. A, you get an ass whipping. B, you work every day. You don't go out to play until you finish the work that you're done. So the work ethic, and then you got to do it with excellence, okay? And they would inspect. They were old school like that. So in one way, I really appreciated. They taught me work ethic. They taught me the importance of doing it with excellence, or there's no reward. They taught me the effective utilization of time, because I had to do my stuff on time. I had to get in and out of school, get my work done if I wanted to have any pleasure. So those things helped me. But at the end of the day, fortunately, my father, who stayed in close touch with his children, maintained his brownstone in Brooklyn, New York. And when I aged out of foster care, I did have a place to go back to. The problem is a lot of kids age out of foster care and they have no home to go back to. About 40% of them, many of them end up homeless or fending for themselves at a young age. Now, I had another problem. I mean, we'll talk about that after the break.
I see this guy. He's a pro, man. George Fraser's trying to get my job, y'all. He's trying to get my job. The only thing he didn't say was when we come forward. So when we come forward, I'll let George Fraser finish that story. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found BenefitsCheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. BenefitsCheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network
Former President Trump's defamation trial is expected to resume in New York City tomorrow after it was delayed for 2 days over COVID concerns. This trial is solely to determine how much money writer E. Jean Carroll will get, if any. She was awarded $5 million in a trial last May in which Trump was held liable for sexually abusing her back in the 90s and defaming her. Jury selection began Monday in New York City in the trial of 2 men accused of killing Run DMC's Jam Master Jay. It's taken prosecutors over 2 decades to reach this point, and now Roland Washington and Carl Jordan are standing trial charged with gunning down the legendary African-American DJ inside of his recording studio back in 2002. Both men have pleaded not guilty. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
New year, new hiring needs? Indeed's end-to-end solution helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all year round. Schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from your Indeed dashboard. Learn more by visiting Indeed.com/credit.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers will not have LeBron James tonight for their LA showdown against the Clippers. LeBron has a sore right ankle. This will be the 5th game this season LeBron has missed because of an injury. The Lakers are 2-2 in LeBron's absence. 7 p.m. tip-off tonight at Crypto.com on TNT. Coco Gauff advanced to the Australian Open semifinals for the first time in her career. The 19-year-old sister defeated Marta Kostyuk of Ukraine in 3 sets. Gauff is ranked 4th in the world. Remember Hugh Jackson? He was head coach of the Cleveland Browns from 2016 to 2018 and the Oakland Raiders for 1 year in 2011. Jackson is in final talks with Morehouse College in Atlanta to become their next head football coach. The famous HBCU hasn't had a winning season in 6 years. Jackson is available. He was fired at Grambling after going 8-14 in 2 seasons. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580, home of the 2024 Climate Justice Campaign.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
Taco Bell just dropped the new Cravings Value Menu. Now you can get 10 items for $3 or less, which means you can get the food you want for the price you want. It's almost like you can have your cake and eat it too. But in this case, it's a double-stacked taco from the new Cravings Value Menu. So basically, you can have your double-stacked taco and eat it too, which is a lot crunchier than cake. The new Cravings Value Menu is here. Get it at Taco Bell today. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations while supplies last. Contact store for price and participation which vary. Tax extra.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and Domestic Violence Clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Dr. George Fraser, entrepreneur, author, motivational speaker, the master networker. Pleased to have him on this program, as he does every January, to motivate and inspire us for the year. We're getting to that, I promise, in a moment. But we started out talking about this amazing project he's working on. It's just every time I hear the story of what he intends to do, what he is doing, I'm inspired by it. And then we segued into a question I asked that I'd never asked him before, and one he said he'd never been asked, about how he has been able to accomplish all he's been blessed to do. As a foster kid, we hear these horror stories about kids coming out of foster care all the time. Mm-hmm. That has not been the story of one Dr. George Fraser. And you were saying that kids age out. They don't have a place to go to. You had a place to go back to, but you said you had another problem, another challenge. Pick up the story.
Yeah. When I was a foster kid, no one thought I was college material, so I was sent to a vocational high school, Thomas Edison High School, and got a diploma in carpentry, but I couldn't get a job in carpentry or an apprenticeship in carpentry in New York because the Italians control the carpenters union at that time. This is back in the early 60s. Mm-hmm. And so the first real job that I could get that was sort of a quasi-government job, which was fulfilling my parents' dream, was with the Port Authority, and the Port Authority controls all the airports in New York. So I got a job on the midnight shift mopping floors at LaGuardia Airport. So I'm talking to myself in the bathroom, and I'm saying, God, why am I doing this? Okay, but I've got to do it. So I did it. And I was spit shining the urinals and toilets, and they were the cleanest bathrooms in LaGuardia Airport. Mm-hmm. Believe me. Mm-hmm. If you go to LaGuardia Airport today, go down into the maintenance department. There's a plaque on the wall and a picture. It's me. I was the best floor mopper in the history of LaGuardia Airport. I'm spit shining some urinals one day, and then go to the toilets. And there's a white guy that came into the bathroom. It's about midnight, right? A little after midnight. He had a late flight, and he hears me whistling. The bathroom smells great. He taps me on the shoulder. He says, "Young man, I've never heard anyone whistling while cleaning toilets, and this place smells great. It's the best, cleanest bathroom I've ever been in." He said, "Would you be interested in doing something else?" And I said, yeah. He said, "Would you like to sell Encyclopedia Britannica?" So I said, well, I don't know. I don't really know how to sell inside. He said, we'll teach you. So he gave me his card. It wasn't cell phones back then. He had his landline number on it. He said, give me a week or so until I get back to the office, and give me a call. And I did. And I followed up. One of the big mistakes that black folks make when networking is they don't follow up. 99.9% of black folks will never, ever, ever follow up. People used to say to me, Dr. Fraser, aren't you worried? You give people your business card with all your information. I said, I'm not worried. They will never, ever, ever, ever follow up. Brothers and sisters who's listening, the fortune is in the follow-up. I followed up. He gave me a job selling Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, the bigger problem was when I aged out of foster care, I went back to the brownstone that my father maintained for his children. Now, I was the youngest with me and my brother Joseph. We were the youngest, and I had older brothers who had gotten there before me. Right now, by the time me and my sister and my younger brother when we aged out, got back to the house, the brownstone, my older brothers were heroin addicts, and they were selling heroin. And in fact, the place of business was my father's brownstone. So I'm looking at this, and my sister's looking at this and says, we got to get the hell out of here. All right. So I try to convince my younger brother, Joseph, I'm moving to Cleveland because I had an older sister in Cleveland, much older, actually still living today. And that's why I chose Cleveland, because she was there and she took me in. I packed up my stuff, tried to convince Joseph to come with me, and he wanted to stay. And I came to Cleveland, Ohio. About 4 years later, Joseph was killed in a drug deal that went bad. He became a heroin addict and a heroin dealer. And that's how my life started, right? That was the beginning of my life. But God works in mysterious ways.
Say that.
My favorite, God works in mysterious ways. I mean, listen, there are obstacles. We all have obstacles. This is what life is, right? There's just no question about it. And this is what we have to deal with. I think it was Virginia Woolf who said, you cannot find peace by avoiding life, right? This is life as it is. So I had to do something different. And I think the pain and the agony and the cauldron of the obstacles I had to overcome as a young person, as I like to say, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, right? How you do anything is how you do everything, right? So, and that carried forth with me for years and years to come. And everything that I managed or was able to do, or opportunities that I was able to secure, really laid the path for the steps that I took as I began my path down life. So I understood that relationships were critically important. Relationships. Introduce me to your 5 closest friends, and that will tell me who you are. There's a thing in the world of networking called the power of proximity. A lot of people don't know this concept, that if you sit next to a high performer, you will perform about 15% better. So a high performer, just in your proximity, will increase your performance by 15%, increase your productivity by 15%, right? If you're hanging next to a low performer, an underperformer will decrease your performance by 30%, or your productivity by 30%. So every B player that you bring on board in your life is not just decreasing their productivity or your productivity by 30%, but because it is the energy transfer, which is that everybody around them becomes a little bit less productive, right? And I can see that in my golf game. I've been playing golf for 50 years, right? The better players I play with, the better I play. The worst players I play with, I mean, I've been playing golf for 50 years, thousands of games. And every time I play with the best players I could possibly muster on that game, I play better.
Yeah.
If for some reason I'm picked to play with the worst players, I play worse. So this is the power of proximity. It is extremely important to understand that. And finally, the other concept is called the strength of weak ties.
Hold that thought. The strength of weak ties. We've talked about the power of proximity, and we'll talk about the strength of weak ties when we come forward. I'm still noodling that the fortune is in the follow-up. Hope my friends are listening right now. The fortune, George Fraser said, is in the follow-up. We'll talk about the strength of weak ties as juxtaposed to the power of proximity with the one and only George Fraser. He's preaching now when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
You're all set with your Medicare prescriptions, Mrs. Brown.
This is not just low-cost copays at Walgreens.
I can actually help you set up 90-day refills if you want.
This is having a partner you can trust. Get low-cost copays, 90-day refills, and delivery from your neighborhood Walgreens. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Restrictions apply. For details, see walgreens.com/pharmacy.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the exclusive media sponsor of this light of ours, activist photographers of the Civil Rights Movement. A dynamic new exhibition on view now at the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles. This light of ours showcases more than 150 photos taken by movement insiders from diverse backgrounds that reveal the vital work undertaken by a broad coalition of organizers and everyday people whose collective action changed America. This light of ours is one of 3 temporary exhibitions currently on view at the Skirball, which together explore issues related to civil rights, immigration, and pluralism. Tickets and more information for all 3 exhibitions are available at skirball.org. That's skirball.org. SKIRBALL.org.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
Dr. George Fraser is killing it, and now he is submerging. He's submerging deeper with every breath. He was talking a moment ago about the power of proximity. I'm still noodling that. And now he's transitioning to the strength of weak ties. Take it away, Dr. Fraser.
Yes. People with whom you have weaker ties are more likely to have information and connections that are useful and relevant. What does that mean? It means they are generally not in your circle of friends. These are people you have weak ties with. They're not in your immediate circle of friends. They could be, though, friends of friends. They could be new friends. And so the point I'm trying to make here with folks is get out in the world, brothers and sisters, and meet new people. Be nice to people. Smile. You never know who you're talking to. Right? And this is one of the reasons whenever humanly possible, when I fly, I try to fly first class. A is only 2 seats. It's more comfortable. And typically smarter people, more resource people are flying in first class. These are people I don't know, but I always strike up a conversation, and I can tell you some of the most important relationships that I have accrued in my life have come from casual conversations of people I did not know but got to know, and the relationship was some of the most productive in my life. The strength of weak ties, right? Don't think that all of
No way. That's not possible, Miles. That is not possible. Dr. Fraser is killing it, and we lost his line. Let me just tell you that we're going to get him back. I got a few minutes left between now and the top of the hour, and we ain't wasting this good time. You don't need to hear me ramble. You need to hear more of Dr. Fraser. He's been talking for the last few minutes about the power of proximity. And that was that data not fascinating or what? That if you sit next to somebody who's overperforming, your performance goes up by 15%, just being in proximity to people who are handling their business. But if you sit next to a fool who ain't handling his or her business, your productivity goes down by 30%. That data is fascinating for me. Your point, Dr. Fraser, very quickly was that we got to get out and do what?
We got to get out, engage, meet people, right? You never know who you're talking to, and we have to build circles that are concentric to our inner circles. And this is how we build networks that extend way beyond what our immediate reach is. This is the strength of weak ties. In other words, don't ever discount the value or worth of a person that you're talking to. You never know until you engage and until you explore. And this is a longitudinal study. It was back in 1986, a guy by the name of Mark Gransverder. You can Google it, brothers and sisters. And by the way, I forgot to mention, if you want to learn more about the Black Business Legacy Hall of Fame, just go to www.blackbusinesslegacyfoundation.org. blackbusinesslegacyfoundation.org, and you can learn all about all of the details of the Black Business Legacy Hall of Fame.
Can anything good come out of foster care? Somebody said yes. Can anything good come out of Cleveland? Somebody said yes. His name is George Fraser. Our remaining moments with him when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom. If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring Gain scent beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent maracas smell amazing." You could call them scent maracas, but most noses call them Gain scent beads. Try Gain scent beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Charles Barkley in a pickup game.
We'll take Barkley.
Ha! First pick. Sorry, kids. Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision?
Okay, here's the plan. Pass me the ball every time.
This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Who do you trust to get at the truth?
Tavis Smiley.
That's who. The conversation continues right now.
Miles, my board op and I were just talking. Every week we have to figure out what 3 hours we're going to reprise on Friday for the best of Tavis Smiley. It's only Tuesday, but one of those hours we have figured out. One of the hours we'll reprise this Friday, we have already figured out, and you're inside of it right now. In the 3 minutes I have left, Dr. Fraser, I would give every minute of it, every second of it to you, as you've earned it and deserve it, and this audience needs to hear a bit more from you. What is your best advice in these next 3 minutes for how we can commence this year to unlock the secrets of wealth, inclusion, and success for ourselves?
Yeah. Is to understand that the tax system was set up for the landowner and the business owner. Why is that? Because the tax laws were written by landowners and business owners. So if you, duh.
I love it.
Right? So, right. So if you don't own land, I don't care if it's an apartment building, a two-family home, a garage that you bought to park your car. If you don't own land, and if you don't have a business, and today you can start a business on a dime, you can start a business at home, you can start a business again in your house, write off all the things that are necessary to do that business. If you don't own land, and you don't own a business, and there's no excuse, we call them side hustles. It's really businesses, and you formalize that business, right? And you do it out of your home if you have to. So if we don't own land and we don't own a business, I keep saying it, you cannot fully exploit the American tax system. The American tax system will exploit you. Mm-hmm. Now, I learned this lesson when I was 27 years old. I lived next door to a Polish guy, and he had income property in the hood. I went with him, worked with him. I ended up owning 7 2- and 3-family homes. Okay, this is back in the 70s. 7 2- and 3-family homes. The tax write-offs that I got put me in a zero tax basis, right? So own land, start a business, full-time, part-time, quarter-time. It doesn't make any difference. Start something. Find something that you love doing and then do that and monetize it. So we have to fully exploit the American tax system, and we are not. We own the fewest number of businesses per capita in America, as I said earlier, and we own the fewest number of homes per capita. And again, we came over here on the Mayflower. Lots of reasons. We don't have time to unpack all those reasons. That's A. B.
I got 45 seconds for B, but give it to me right quick. I want to hear it.
Here's B. I learned one thing in 2024 already. One thing that was a revelation to me. Magic Johnson wasted the world's best porn name on a basketball career.
You know what? I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that right there. I'm gonna leave that right there. His name is George Fraser, Dr. George Fraser. I love him dearly. Doc, right quick, give me that web address again for the Black Business Legacy Project.
Okay, Black Business Legacy Foundation.org. BlackBusinessLegacyFoundation.org.
He does it every time. Every time he comes on, I need more time with him, so he'll be back again. I promise you. That's our show for today. Thanks for tuning in. Until tomorrow, and as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.